this shop behind me here has got a big history in my little mind. When I was a little boy, I used to love sweets, like so many boys do. And I'm a little boy at heart still now, actually. But anyway, as I got into my teens, I was very naughty. I used to get a bit of pocket money, but I used to pinch a few sweets. So I just, while the shopkeeper wasn't looking, I just got me whip a bubbly gum or something, or a stick of licorice, just stick in my pocket while she wasn't watching. She was completely oblivious. I had not a clue. I was turning into a bit of a thief, you know, a bit of a, you hide things, and this is what you do if you're going to be caught out in life, I'm afraid. I've quite a few cooks around, I didn't realise how many there were. Anyway, this went on. And then, when I was late 16, when I was almost 17, I was converted. I was actually at 3-day meetings at Hull, taken by Arthur Lyon, who I liked. Arthur Lyon, he had a way of preaching that started very slowly and in a very measured way. And then he would gradually build up steam, a bit like a steam engine, and would increase in power and velocity, and then it would really get going. And he never really got fiery like some do. I love some of the old preachers. People like Andy McLean was a great preacher in, I don't know if he's still alive, I hope he is, a great guy. You know, there were others who gathered momentum. But anyway, the first, I was shocked. First, I was 16, and Arthur Lyon asked me to give an address, first 3, after John Stephen and someone else. But the whole meetings were about accepting our need of Christ. We've got a need, and that reached my heart. Just be honest, we're needy sinners. We need a saviour. We need each other. Beautiful ministry. And then there was some more learned brethren who made remarks, and Arthur Lyon would just expose them a bit by saying, hey, don't be too clever with me, I'm just a simple Christian. And that Christianity is essentially simple. Anyway, by Sunday I was soundly converted. I was actually in the subdivisional room. We went to a little room and I was stuck out the back because the place was crammed to overflowing. And I was converted. So, of course, I came back to this shop here. And I knew the scripture, as Zacchaeus returned fourfold. If I take anything by false accusation as a tax gatherer, I return fourfold. So I thought, so I tried to calculate. And yeah, I think my calculation turned out about 7 pence, which was quite a lot of money in those days, but it seems minuscule these days. So I thought, well, 7, yeah, 2. So I thought, I'm going to go back, confess my sin to the shopkeeper, and clear my conscience, confess my sins, and give her 2 6pence. I struggled to put it together, but I managed. So I went out and said, I was hesitating, you know how it is when you confess your sins, dare I kind of thing, but I knew it was right, because I knew the Lord had touched my heart. So eventually I plucked up the courage, went in and said to this shopkeeper, I'm so sorry, I was weeping, but I've stolen some sweets and I'll just pay you back. She said, lads. She could see I was contrite and heartbroken. She could see. So she said, lads, you've never stolen that much. What's the real amount you've stolen? So I said, 7pence. Yeah, right, okay. So she gave me the change. Now, what? I just went out of that shop, this shop here, on air, because not only did I know the Lord's forgiveness, but I knew that has an effect on others. You change, you see the sun is outside the street, you kind of feel so happy. So that was me converted soundly, and to this day, I've never taken any money off anybody. I've tried to be a contributor to society, a contributor to make people feel good by being a giver. And that's what I've tried to be. I'm not sure I've made a very good job of it, but I think the whole principle. When we built the City Room in 1993, Garth and Richard Trevor were doing the purchasing, for the build. Pretty dodgy thing, building guns. Anyway, with inexperienced people, that's another point. But Garth was ill. I think he had back problems, had to go to Sydney, or eye problems. He had a few problems. He's got a few problems still, actually. So I took over the buying role. And when it all finished, because I was handling Brethren's money, it wasn't my money, I remember going all the way to Ossett to take back one drain pipe. It's a bend. And I got £4.50 back and paid for the vendor. Now, if you're dealing with other people's money, you've got to be doubly, triply careful to be righteous. You must never, like trustees of a meeting room or anybody that's got any responsibility for finances in any situation, it's so important to be righteous. So charities have got to be utterly righteous to every detail. And that's just a matter of any Christians like that. So righteousness and never taking advantage of anybody is a vital, basic foundation for any Christian. It's interesting, just I think it was in 2011, I went to Garth's house and to drop my brother off, a guy called Jeff Fish, who was bound at my place, and Bruce Hales was going to Garth's house. And when I went to him around Garth's house, come in. So I sat next to Bruce Hales on the sofa. And he said, anyway, I spoke to him. Anyway, the message came back to me that when Bruce Hales heard that Lance had been converted by Arthur Lyon, he said very clearly that means that Lance will never go out of fellowship. In 1972, when the parents were withdrawn from in September, just after I'd been to the shop, a couple of months after, I went to speak to Mr. Simonton. He'd stayed with us in November 1971, and he actually, it was about 4 hours after the meeting ended, I had just to wait because he was talking to all sorts of people that were important. I was just a little boy, I was 17 then, just 17. And I went up to Simonton and said, I'm sorry for being disrespectful to you when you were in our house, because I'd heard that he said that my father was the most ambitious man in Christendom and that he can't keep his house in order, so he had to be withdrawn from. So I went and apologised. Now he had the grace to say to Arthur Lyon, who was with him afterwards, as Arthur passed this on, he said, I've never seen such a changed man as Lance Christie. I was excited. So he recognised that I was converted. That was a great comfort to me. And I often hung on to that through the years when things got more difficult. And I hang on to it today. I was converted to the Lord will never let me down, and he hasn't let me down right through to today, December 2021. And I'm still going strong. And it goes, so this shop here brings back moral memories, and the principle is that we've ever wronged somebody, we put it right, and you forgive them. Wonderful, simple truth. Christianity is so simple. We can trust each other implicitly. There's a wonderful trust in the PBCC amongst the rank and file of the brethren, and they can be taken advantage of. That's beautiful. They're vulnerable. They confess their sins to the leading brother in the place. From their side, it's beautiful. That's how Christianity should be. If you've done wrong, confess. But you actually, the thing is to get in touch with the Lord. That's what really matters. But then if the religion requires you to confess your sins to a priest, make sure that priest understands Christianity. It is hanging on the finished work of Christ himself. Otherwise, they're dodgy. Thank you.